All right. What's up, good people? Welcome to Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, and we're talking about Week 5, facing off against the Baltimore Ravens. That's what we're going to get into tonight. Give me a hot second, guys. You know how I do. And actually, I think there is a way for me to send the link before the show. I saw some feedback, from the last night's show. One of you guys left a comment saying, why can't I send out the link before the show? Like I said, man, not everybody is savvy on YouTube where they just get the notification and things like that. I have to grab the link from YouTube and then text it, so I can't always get the link before the show starts. But it is what it is. I think I figured out a way to do it, perhaps. But it always baffles me at some of the things that ruffles you guys' feathers. But it is what it is. You guys are the audience. I will try to appease you the best way I can. But as far as tonight, you're going to just have to deal with me spending about 30 seconds sending the link out. So let me do that really quick. Then we'll dive into what we're going to get into tonight. Not a whole lot really to get into, and I will explain to you guys why that is in just a moment. Give me a hot second, guys, and I'll be right to you. All right. Also, let me give you guys a heads up. Blog Talk Radio still seems to be having an issue. I've tried to test it on my end. If you guys want to try to test it on your end, let me know what's going on. When I call the number, it's telling me that the number can't be connected at the moment. It took me a while to even connect to the host queue. So I just think they got some issues going on. I'm definitely going to get on top of that tonight after the show. I didn't get a chance to get to them yesterday, but I'm going to call them and complain, voice my complaint and tell them no, that my Steeler Nation family is upset because the phone queue is not working. And this is something I'm paying for. All right, I'm paying a monthly service for this. I understand things go wrong and all of that, but listen, when I pay for a service, I expect for it to work. So we definitely got to talk about that and get on those guys about that. But let's get into it, man. Let me do the quick intros here. Let me greet you guys who are already here, and thank you guys for showing up already early. So we're going to give a huge shout out to Christian Gonzalez, Carl Bigot, Nays, Vista Light, Brandon Cheney, Ali Howard, my brother Tony, Big Marv, Fun Guy, Pino P, Tony Carlson, Steve Williams, Zion, Jose Guzman, Bo Chosen, Black Hawk, Juan Carlos Burgos. Hope I said that correctly. And my good brother Kenyon is in the building as well. Luis D, Be More Murder, Lance Watson, Daredevil, Logan Delarenzo. And that's all we're going to shout out at the moment. So again, guys, if y'all want to try to call in, man, let me know if the queue is working. Again, like I said, it was not working before the show. I don't know. And let me tell you some more bad news, right? Obviously, because it's Monday night game, I don't have all 22 footage. So I don't know how close of attention you guys pay, but you may have noticed that I did not include in the title film study for this particular Terrible Towel Tuesday because we don't have any film to study. So we probably won't get to that until tomorrow. It's usually about 24 hours, 2 to 3 days after the game, but in most cases 24 hours, 20 to 48 hours, pretty much 48 hours. So, like I said, this show is not going to be that long. It's really just me as the talking head, unless the phone queue decides to work. I hope it does, but if not, I'll rely on some of you guys' chats and comments. So let me stop yapping, man, and get to the action. Obviously, this show might not go as long as intended because of the circumstance. So, where shall we begin, man? Crazy me. I've already gone back and watched the game again. I actually just watched it, the condensed version, because that is something that is available pretty much immediately after the game, usually about an hour or so after the game. You can watch the full replay or you can watch a condensed version. So I watched the entire game in 31 minutes again. And let me just say, man, listen, there's some really good things that I'm seeing coming out of this defense. Albeit that it was against the Cincinnati Bengals, you can only play who you can play, okay? You can only line up against who's in front of you. But I'm seeing some bright spots in this defense. I'm seeing tenacity out of these guys. I'm seeing the will to. I'm seeing the fight. I'm seeing guys not being so lackadaisical. I'm seeing more physicality. And again, how much things can change in a week, right? You know, we lost the trench battle against the San Francisco 49ers, and we saw what happened. They were able to run the ball down our throats when they wanted to. Now, playing against the Bengals, we clearly won the line of scrimmage. I mean, if you get a chance, guys, to go back and watch the game, there's some plays that are really going to make you excited, really going to make you feel that this team could be a little better than what they've shown so far. And granted, the Patriots blew us out. We weren't ready for the Patriots. You know, clearly, we wasn't ready for that action. We weren't doing any type of adjustments. We didn't bring anything new to the table, and we got blown out. We played the Seattle Seahawks pretty close, and one could argue that we gave that game away just depending on a play here, a play there. You know, we may have gave that game away. Not taking anything away from the Seattle Seahawks, but don't sit here and tell me that you were not watching that game thinking the Steelers could win. And that's what I mean when I say gave the game away, because there were moments in that game where you thought the Steelers could win it, right? Same thing with the 49ers. Okay, you get 5 turnovers, 3 of which in the first quarter. We gave that game away, clearly. You're not going to tell me there weren't moments in that game that you thought the Steelers could put it away. We gave the game away, whether you're talking figuratively or you're talking in reality. James Conner's fumble may have very well given that game away. So then you look at the Cincinnati Bengals. And like I said, Cincinnati hasn't been the best team this year. They're 0-4 right now, but they did play some of them teams close. They played Seattle close. And we did what we had to do. And these are usually the games that the Steelers lose, right? Just like I joke about saying that we're going to lose to the Dolphins. I wouldn't be surprised, because that's generally what the Steelers have done under this current era. And again, I don't beat Mike Tomlin up for that. You can't deny the record he has against subpar teams and sub 500 teams. Very comparable to Bill Cowher, I might add, but it's neither here or there. I'm just saying the record is what the record is. But I just don't subscribe to you had your team ready to play this week. Last week you didn't have them ready. I don't subscribe to that. I think the team and the mentality of the team should be the same every week. How they perform is up to them. You know what I mean? But it's good to see the Steelers stomp a team out that they're supposed to stomp out theoretically. A Bengals team without A.J. Green. A Bengals team with some injuries on the front line as far as the offensive line. Talented defense, but they're a little weak at the linebacker spot, right? You're supposed to beat that team. I think we had the talent on that team to win. We did, so I have to praise that win. But I will pump the brakes a little bit because, again, it's the Bengals. The Bengals haven't played the best football, and I have to wait until we at least play and or beat another quality opponent. And we'll get into the Baltimore Ravens here in just a moment. But a few more recaps, man, I just wanted to give in terms of the game. And let me know, guys, if any of you guys have tried to call in. Let me know, is the queue working? I tried it myself, before. And actually, I could try. Well, I won't try it right now. But if any of you guys have tried to call in, let me know if it's accepting your call or not. I don't think it is, because it didn't work for me when I tried before the show. So I apologize, guys. Even though I know it's not my fault, I apologize to you guys that called last night and we couldn't connect. And I apologize for any of you guys who want to call tonight and the queue is just not working. So I apologize. Devin Bush, man, we talked about it last night. This guy played a heck of a game, man. I actually got the statistics right here. It's funny because Mark Barron actually had, better total tackles, if you will. Let me get back to it. I was just looking at the statistics. Let me get back to it right here. So, stats on the night. And we'll go through the stat line here because this is going to be very interesting, too, facing other teams and facing, the Baltimore Ravens. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, on offense, Mason Rudolph was 24 of 28, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, right? And that sounds like a pretty good game. But in reality, We saw the kind of short dink and dunk type of plays and some of the, very quick check downs. I believe he targeted the running backs 16 times, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very crazy, man. Not a lot of airtime on Mason Rudolph's passes outside of the one that he threw to Deontay Johnson, but it worked. It worked. Jalen Samuels was credited with 3 attempts, 3 completions, 31 yards, for a total passing yards of 260 yards and 2 touchdowns by the Pittsburgh Steelers in that regard. Rushing, James Conner was 10 for 42 yards. Doesn't sound like much, but a 4.2 average. I can dig it. Jalen Samuels was 10 for 26. Do the math. That's only a 2.6 average. Benny Snell was 2 for 1 yard, which we know how that goes. And it shows total yards as far as rushing was 66. Not that great. Well, look at the receiving yards, and this is hilarious. James Conner leads the way with 8 receptions, 83 yards, and 1 touchdown. Deontay Johnson, 6 catches, 77 yards, 1 touchdown. Jalen Samuels, 8 receptions, 57 yards. Nick Vannett, 2 receptions, 28 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster, 3 catches for just 15 yards, and so on and so forth. Deontay Johnson lost a fumble. We all know that. Mark Barron got an interception. Passes defensed. Mark Barron with 1. Joe Hayden with 1. Mike Hilton with 2. I told you guys Mike Hilton had an all-around game. Cam Sutton with 1. Devin Bush with 1. Now, defensively, Mark Barron leads the way with 11 total tackles. 8 tackles. Looks like 8 solo, 3 assisted, 1 tackle for loss. Devin Bush, 9 total tackles, 7 solo, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss. That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. Devin Bush had a ball game. Cameron Haywood, 6 total tackles, 4 solo, 2.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss. Mike Hilton, 4 solo, 1 assisted, 1 tackle for loss. And, everybody was trying to join in on the sack party. TJ Watt, 1.5. Tyson Alulu, 1. Javon Hargrave, 1. Bud Dupree, 1. Forced fumble for Bud Dupree, 1. So there you have it, man. The Steelers were dominant in terms of stats, but what really stuck out to me were the individuals, man. Watching the game again, I can't wait till I get my hands on the All-22, but watching the condensed version, you're going to see a lot of things from Steven Nelson. There was a play, you guys might remember it, where I think it was in the 3rd quarter. They tried to throw a quick slant to, I want to say it was Ross. And Steven Nelson was right on him. I mean, tight man coverage, deflected it, the ball went up. And from the TV view, it looked like Minkah Fitzpatrick had a chance to get to it, but he didn't. It wasn't nowhere near him. But just to be able to see a guy that can play man coverage like that was great to see. Seeing Mike Hilton come back alive in coverage and get some pass deflections. Great to see that, because what you're also going to see on the All-22, in case you didn't see the real game last night, Mike Hilton was getting 8 up when they were trying to send him on the nickel blitz. So it's good to see Mike Hilton have some success in the slot. It's good to see Cam Sutton have some success when he's out there on the field. And we're just seeing more from our secondary. Again, it's the Bengals. It's Andy Dalton. But still, I'm just looking at the potential. Another key highlight to the game to me again, man, was just our front 7 looked pretty dominant in this game. I mean, you saw pressure from everybody, even number 48, as Kenya likes to call him. TJ Watt being a monster. You saw Cam Haywood being a monster. Stephon Tuitt unable to be blocked. Man, Stephon Tuitt is on a tear. If you look at all of the games so far this year, maybe with the exception of New England, Stephon Tuitt is having a phenomenal season so far. It's the little things. It's not always the numbers. You got to pay attention to what's happening on the field. Who's causing pressure? Who's winning their battle at the line of scrimmage? And Stephon Tuitt is looking like an animal. We saw him do that last week against San Fran in the first half. So, very, very good bright spots, man. The only weak spot right now, which, I'm not going to beat him up too much, but, Barron it seems definitely to be the weakest link in pass coverage at the moment. He is serviceable against the run game, so I'm not saying we don't play him. You know, maybe like I said last night, we get more situations where it's a pass attempt or what have you. If we know we're in passing downs, maybe go a little more dime where we can get Cam Sutton on the field, you know, and try to get Mark Barron off the field. But that's about all I got, man. I wish I was able to show you guys film. You know, unfortunately, with it being Monday night, you know that routine. I don't have the game footage yet. And phone queue is not working as it appears. And I didn't see if anybody confirmed that in the queue. But if you will, if anybody has tried to call, let me know if it's working or not. It's probably going to tell you that it can't connect, but at least confirm that for me. So since we're dealing with that situation, no film, no phone calls, I'm going to turn it over to the chat. Well, before I turn it over to the chat, yeah, somebody says it's not working. Yeah, man, Blog Talk, man. I'm going to get on them big time tonight. Before I turn it over to the chat, man, let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens. This is going to be quite a test, man. For no other reason, even if you can't find any other reason, you can rely on one reason why it's going to be a test. It's the Baltimore Ravens. You know, it's always a tight game. And it's been games where the Baltimore Ravens have gotten the best of us. It's been games where we've gotten the best of them when Ben put up 6 touchdowns. But most of the time, it's a tight game. It comes down to, you know, and when I say tight, might not always dictate the tight game. It could be a 17-3 type of game where on the scoreboard it looks like one team clearly had the edge, but it could have been a tight game all the way into the fourth quarter. It seems like it comes down to which team can execute at what time, who can get a stop, who can, you know, make a play on offense and get that touchdown or big play to put them in position. It's going to be one of those type of games because it's the Ravens. It's always like that. And even though sometimes the personnel has changed, the personality and the identity has not changed between the teams for the most part, as well as the pedigree. You know, they are a hard-nosed football team just like the Steelers. That's why even as a Steelers fan, you got to respect the Ravens brand of football. I do. I don't play that hate game. You know, I don't hate the Ravens and hate the fans. You know, of course, you know, in the football sense, you'd be like, oh, I hate the Ravens. But no, I actually respect the way they play football. Hard-nosed. I used to love watching them battles when Ray Lewis and Ed Reed was out there. And, you know, Pernell McPhee, when they had, you know, them Dawn and Nada. All players that I would love to have seen in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. You think I wouldn't have loved to have seen Halati, what's his name? Halati Nada? On the Steelers team? Come on, man. Come on. So, I've always respected the way they play, and it's just going to be one of them gritty games. Now, things have changed. This Lamar Jackson regime is totally different from what we're used to. And I had forgot about this, man, listening to Mike Tomlin's press conference. I think he said the last time we saw them, we played Joe Flacco. And that is correct. Now that he refreshes my memory, you remember Lamar Jackson was coming in. I remember now that Tomlin said that. My show before that week, I was saying we're going to have to watch it when they bring Jackson out there. Remember, a lot of times they was flanking Jackson out. And sometimes they had him, you know, come in and he was doing the sort of wildcat type situation. And they would have Flacco split out. But we haven't seen a full-time Lamar Jackson. This is going to be a totally different challenge for this team. We're going to have to contain him. Lamar Jackson can take off and run. He has now become the type of quarterback that runs when necessary. He doesn't seem to take off as fast, or, you know, he's not as amped to run like he used to be last year. This dude's standing in the pocket. This dude is delivering deep shots down the field, throwing shots across the middle, zipping the ball in like he got a little zip on his passes. Still not 100% accurate, but he is accurate enough to where he could kill you. We got to worry about Hollywood Brown with that speed. Because, again, what we've been seeing out of the Ravens, they're taking these deep shots. And Hollywood Brown is getting behind a lot of DBs. Who do we have that can run with him? Okay, Steven Nelson, I'm sure, is not as fast as him. Joe Hayden is not as fast as him. So it is going to change our philosophy a little bit. We might not be as inclined to just get up in their face and bail. We might have to give a little room, give a little cushion. So this is going to be an interesting game, man. You know, it's going to be a very interesting game. Of course, we're going to have to stop the run. You have to stop the run against this team because with guys like Edwards and Mark Ingram, they run hard, they run strong, they're downhill runners. We cannot allow them to get going in that regard because then the play action game is definitely going to work because we've seen, didn't see much of it against Cincinnati last night, a little bit, but we saw how bad Mark Barron and Devin Bush have reacted to play action early on in the season. So what do you think is going to happen when the Ravens are steadily running the ball and they go play action? It's going to be interesting. Got to stop the run. If we can put a bottle cap on the run, make Lamar Jackson have to pass, I'll take my chances. Okay, but even with that, we're going to have to rush smart. You know, like we always talked about with Russell Wilson, whether it was this year or some years ago when we played him. We got to rush smart. You know, we can't give too many lanes where he can escape and run up the middle or run around the outside because he is too fast. He is too fast for you to try to react after he gets going. We're going to have to rush them very smart. But again, I think if we put them in a situation where they have to pass more than they are having to run, we got a chance. You know, you got a little momentum right now because you're at home. We just won a big game on Monday night. We get these guys at 1 o'clock. We should be ready to play. But they're going to be coming in there with a little pissed off attitude as well because they started off pretty hot and they're now 2-2. So I'm pretty sure they're looking at this the same way we are. Okay, we just lost to a divisional opponent. We can't afford to lose another one. They're not trying to go 2-3 because they know what's at stake. The Steelers win this game, and if by chance the Browns happen to lose, we right there. See what I'm saying? Even if the Browns win, we still right there. You know, you still get an edge up on the Ravens. So this is a key game. This is going to be a huge test for us, man, because that offense that we ran last night, no. We're not going to be able to do that for long. It was nice last night. It was very nice. Again, when you look at the replays, when you look at the game again, nice mix, man. A nice adjustment by Randy Fichtner to cater the game plan to Mason Rudolph, right? And get away from the Ben Roethlisberger style of offense because we're going to have to evolve. And speaking of evolving, I think it's going to be a week-to-week basis. I don't think that we will be able to do, and I said this last night, but the more I think about it, I don't think we're going to be able to copy what the Ravens did last year in terms of completely adopting one offense for this player and running that the rest of the year. That's what the Ravens did last year. It was a very simple, basic concept with Lamar Jackson, and they ran it for the entire season. Now you're seeing that they're getting a little more, adding a little more, a little more into the mix now. But I don't think that will work for us. That wildcat and the jet motion and all that kind of stuff, I don't think we can keep that going for the rest of the season. Nah. I think we're going to be a team this year where Fichtner is mixing in little sprinkles of things here and there depending on the opponent. Because the Ravens, I think, will be better equipped, to defend that type of offense. I don't think we're going to be able to run that like crazy against them. Maybe a couple times here and there, but we can't play small ball like we did last night. We're going to have to take our shots. And with that, it makes me nervous. Because the one thing the Ravens have done with their defense for the last several years, they're very good at disguising. They're very good at disguising what they're doing, making last-minute adjustments, and you never know who's coming. And you got a guy like Earl Thomas back there being the quarterback. So Mason Rudolph is going to have to be smart, but he's going to have to take some chances. So we shall see, folks. I think we have an opportunity. The Ravens don't look unbeatable. Because I don't think the Cleveland Browns are that great of a team at the moment. They are well talented, though. Let's not get it twisted. We're not looking at the same Browns. They're not the same old Browns. They got some talent over there, and their defense is stout. But what did the Cleveland Browns do? They ran the football down the Ravens' throat. So, excuse me, contrary to what I said about their run game, if we can get our run game going, and allow Mason Rudolph to get in some play action situations, this is a winnable game. The Ravens don't look that strong. But this will be a very big test for our young, you know, non-mature team in terms of youth with the quarterback position and things like that. This is going to be a tremendous test for the Steelers. So we shall see. We shall see. But all right, guys, let's get back into the comment section, man. While you guys are leaving a comment, and Patrick Covington, I'll read your comment here in a moment. But while we're doing that, let me try to call the phone queue again, man, just to see if it's working. I'll put it on speaker so you guys can hear what it's doing. So here I am trying to call. Let's see what happens. Don't think it's gonna work. Somebody said done Nightbot. What Nightbot do? Nightbot tripping? Yeah, it's not working, guys. Listen to the message.
We are unable to complete your call at this time. Please try again later.
So, needless to say, I will be in there, you know what, once I'm done the show. All right, man, let's read some comments here. Obviously, we're not going to be here but too much longer. Let's see what we got. Patrick Covington says, it's good that he catered expensive, It's good that he catered expensive, little bit, but I want him to be free the reins and let Mason, hold on, I lost it. Let me go back. Somebody left a comment and it knocked yours out. Where is it? Oh, Patrick, I just lost it, man. Somebody left a comment and it pushed yours up. So I lost it. I think what you were saying is you are happy that Fiedner is letting Rudolph be free. I think that's kind of what you were saying. I didn't see the full comment. But if you can, man, if you feel like it, comment again and I'll see it because I'm reading kind of from the bottom up, if you will. Kazas Abdul Aziz says, our receivers aren't good this year. The Ravens have a really good secondary. It's going to be tough. James Conner has to have a good game. Yeah, you might be right, man. I don't go as far, me personally, as saying that the receivers aren't good. It's just different. You know, we're used to seeing Antonio Brown and we're used to seeing him, you know what I mean? So what's Nays talking about? Nays says something about I use it for video and voice conferences. What are you talking about, Skype? Because I know you used to always advocate for Skype. No, Google Hangouts. Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Nays. The reason why I don't use those formats anymore because not everybody has Google accounts. Not everybody wants to go through the trouble of creating a Gmail account or whatever. And not everybody wants to go through the trouble of creating a Skype account just for this. So the easiest format, in my opinion, is allowing people to call a phone number, and it's been very successful. It's just unfortunate when you're dealing with any type of technology in companies, sometimes things are down. You know, we haven't had any problems with this up until last night and tonight. So, you know, that was the reason why I moved away from Skype and Google Hangout because it's not as clean, it's messier. Like I said, not everybody wants to create accounts. Some people even share with me that they refuse to create a YouTube account to subscribe. I get it, but you see what I'm saying? Not everybody wants to do all of that. It's much easier to just call a phone number. So that's why I use Blog Talk. Now, if you guys know another service that allows phone conferencing like this where I can funnel it through the computer, great. But anything like Google Hangouts and Skype, nah, that's out the picture. All right, here goes Patrick's comment again. He says, it's good that he catered the offense a little bit, but I want them to free reins and let Mason throw downfield a little bit more and stop treating him like a just starter instead of a backup. Yeah, man, I fully agree with that. At this point, it's either bang or bust. You know, we're 1-3. We can't keep playing conservative. Let's go out with a bang, man. Let him pass this ball a little bit because, again, the film is out. And I think that film we put on display last night is not going to be hard for teams to, okay, we know what they're doing here. We gotta make people respect the fact that he will throw the ball downfield. Have to do that. Real Fact says, Sim, I hope I'm wrong, but I got a feeling that they are going to have Barron and Mark Andrews. For what reason? I don't know. It's going to be some situations like that. You better believe it. You better believe it. Watching the game, man, and I wished I could have brought it to you guys tonight, but watching the condensed version of the game, man, I looked at all of the snaps where Barron got caught on guys, and there were times where Andy Dalton either overthrew it or somebody didn't make a play. Tyler Eifert was supposed to make that catch in the end zone. He is the weakest link. They're going to attack him, and you're absolutely right. You think the Ravens ain't going to do that? Debbie says, and she's responding to Casas, Juju is not the issue. If the other receivers take advantage of the cover, Juju gets, that will open up one-on-one coverage with Juju, and it will keep the defense honest. Yeah, I think it's a combination of all of that, Debbie. You know, Juju hasn't had the luxury of being able to, you know, get a lot of one-on-ones, and then the one-on-ones that we've seen him in, you know, when he played against Gilmore strapped him a little bit, but there were times when Juju got free as well. But there were a whole lot of problems going on in that game. You know, the Patriots game, if you go back and watch, our offensive line looked like trash in that game. There were times where Ben didn't have any time, and you didn't even give the receivers enough time to try to get open. It was pretty bad. Y Diggy says, what's up with James Washington? I thought he would be more successful with Mason out there. You asked that question. My father-in-law Leonard asked that question last night. I think we got to look at it like this. I don't think we can judge James Washington's performance last night. You know, for all of that, you can say the same thing about Juju, which I'm not, because, again, look at the game plan. Look at what we were trying to do. It was a lot of quick stuff. We weren't taking shots down the field to anybody. And the one time we did it, it was when we caught them in the right formation. We ran that little, you know, that switch concept. Well, basically, we ran an over route in both directions. And the defenders were supposed to switch off. They didn't. Deontay Johnson is wide open. But when you look at the offense, there weren't really a lot of situations where James Washington was going to get the ball. James Washington is more so a vertical type of guy. You know, and he probably will be more successful as time goes on with Mason Rudolph. But you got to remember, it's the style of offense that we ran last night is not going to really allow us to judge how good or how not good James Washington has been. We're just not seeing it yet. So that's my take on that. I'm not ready to say that James Washington isn't showing up, because like I said, if we want to say that last night, what receiver showed up last night? Again, even when Deontay Johnson got his touchdown, it was because of a blown coverage by the defense. We caught him in the perfect situation. And then everything else that we threw to Johnson was the short stuff. Quick 7 yards, 8 yards. So just kind of keep that in mind. What else we got? Kenya says, you keep saying this, Droz, but I don't see all those talented quarterbacks you mentioned, and I know who you can't sell me because I scout them. Okay, let me see what Droz talking about. Droz says, so is Droz saying we need to move away from Rudolph? He says, Kenyon, there are a lot of talented quarterbacks coming in the future drafts. Why settle? Okay, so I'm assuming Droz is not a big fan of Mason Rudolph. Okay. All right, I respect that. You know, everyone's opinion, I respect that. William Jackson says, pains me to say it as a fan of JC. Of course, but Jalen Samuels looks like he is the best option, especially with Mason at quarterback. Way more dynamic than James Conner. Possibly, but let me tell you this. And y'all tell me if I'm off here. I think James Conner runs with more aggression than Jalen Samuels. Jalen Samuels looks like more of a finesse guy, and you use him for that. But I don't see, Jalen Samuels doesn't really come off to me as an every down back. They complement each other very well. And I think that's the way to go in the NFL right now, is why not have a 2 to 3 back system? Just my opinion. Jason Winningham says, I'm glad to see a lot of play action and short, high percentage passing. It really confused Cincinnati last night. Couldn't, especially on the deep route to Deontay Johnson. Yep, fully agree there. My boy Dez, who is a Ravens fan, says, first time in as long as I can remember, the Ravens D is inarguably barbecue chicken. Hey, man, Dez, man, I wouldn't say that just yet. The Ravens always find a way to play good defense, but yeah, man, I have to admit, being a Steelers fan who obviously watches and respects the Ravens style of football, it was crazy to see. It was ridiculously crazy for me to see the amount of yards they gave up against Cleveland, especially on the ground. I mean, how many years have people said you can't run on the Ravens? Think about how proud we were. I'm sure Dez don't want to hear this, but how surprised and proud we were in that game when Le'Veon Bell was able to tote the rock against the Ravens. Because we said that we were so surprised because it doesn't happen. The Ravens don't get gouged like that. It's every once in a blue. Like, you lucky to see a Ravens team. It don't happen. So that, to me, to see what happened to them on Sunday, man, I feel you. I didn't see that coming. Not in the least. What else y'all got? Big Marv says, like I said earlier, this is Mason's team now. So the offense now has to mold itself around his playing style. I agree with that. And let me ask this, man. Why are y'all trying to throw Mason Rudolph, excuse me, why y'all trying to throw this dude in the trash so soon? I don't understand it. I don't understand it, man, because I compare it to, some of y'all are going to say this is a stretch, but just listen to the comparison. I'm not necessarily comparing apples to apples. But to me, it's very reminiscent of when Dak Prescott first took over, right? And everybody was saying, oh, he's just a game manager, da-da-da-da-da. What's wrong with that? Like, what are y'all looking for from Mason Rudolph that he's not doing? What are you looking for another quarterback to do this early? We're talking about a guy who has still only played, less than 3 full games. Played decent in the second half of his starting game, the first game starting, and last night he did what he had to do. I'm not sure why everyone is so up in arms, about, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing people even after the victory saying this dude sucks. And I'm like, if that's your opinion, great. But how do we know this already? How do we know this already? Spoiled Steeler fans, man. I'm pointing the finger at you guys. We're spoiled Steeler fans because everybody's expecting the Tommy Maddox to Ben Roethlisberger transition. It don't work like that. And let me remind you, Ben Roethlisberger didn't play lights out either in his first couple of games. We had that defense, okay? That defense was really what was helping and guiding Ben Roethlisberger, and we were run heavy at that time. Big bust back there. So I'm confused as fans as to how we can come to this conclusion this soon in this young guy's career. I happen to love Mason Rudolph for this reason only. The kid's moxie. I love his moxie. I love his nonchalant attitude on the field, meaning he's not rattled. I haven't seen this dude look rattled. The moment don't look too big for him. I'm rooting for him. Now, if he's not the guy, he's not the guy, but I can't say that today. Y'all too fast with it, man. I cannot say that after this. This dude has not even started a full, he hasn't started a half of an NFL season yet. How are you drawing conclusions already? Saying he's not the answer. I don't know. I don't know. But that's y'all's opinion. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying I don't see. I don't know, man. Yeah, you talking long-term, Droves, but all I'm saying is nobody knows. I guarantee you, what if Mason Rudolph take us to the playoff and throughout the season, this dude putting 300-yard games up? Then what y'all gonna say? And the only reason why I'm saying that, Droves, is because none of us know yet. That's all I'm saying. We all have our opinions, yes, but the fact is, this is a fact. There's no way any of us can tell what Mason Rudolph is or isn't going to be at this very moment. No way. There's not enough evidence. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All the smoke says nobody complains when Brady's dinking and dunking his way to 6 ring. Hey, man. I feel you. I know. Yeah. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. Wait, what did Leonard say? Somebody said, I see Kenyon respond. And Kenyon, I'm pretty sure Leonard said something that I always do this to him too. I always be like, really? Let me see what father-in-law said. Father-in-law says, I thought we should have got a receiver in free agency because I did not think Juju was the #1 receiver. Let me tell you all this, man. I'm going to share this with y'all. Me and Leonard has had this conversation several times. Number one, can you guys answer me, who are we going to get in free agency? And this is an open question to everybody, whether y'all agree with Leonard or agree with my point or Kenyon's point or whatever. I want to hear this from everybody. Who is the free agent wide receiver that we were going to get that was going to presumably be the #1 receiver? That's number one. Number two, the Steelers did go out and get a free agent. Yeah, it was Dante Moncrief, but come on. Nobody expected him to have this bad of a start. You just wanted to get a compliment, right? Number two, we drafted a receiver in a Deontay Johnson, who I think is going to be a great player. I see it. Number three, you have James Washington that you hoping is going to step up, who was your 2nd round draft pick before that. And number four, there's no way that I thought right out the gate that Juju didn't have the capability to be a #1 receiver. I didn't think that. There was nothing that told me that he didn't have the ability to do that. Now, of course, I was wise enough to know that a lot of Juju's success did come off of the hands of Antonio Brown. Anybody would be in that situation if you got this dog over here. Same thing you're seeing out of Calvin Ridley, right? In Atlanta, when he gets off, it's because Julio on the other side. But Calvin Ridley is a baller. It's a difference between a guy who's winning and having success because another guy is there versus another guy being the second fiddle, but he's a great player. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is a great player. Now, the difference that we could argue, yeah, Antonio Brown was getting bracket covered, sometimes double covered, and still was able to get catches. But who is Antonio Brown? This is what I'm saying. How many receivers out there are Antonio Brown or Julio Jones or DeAndre Hopkins? We probably only got maybe 10 receivers that's of that caliber that can be the dog, the lead man, get double coverage at times and still produce. So my point is, what are we judging when we say #1 receiver? Are we judging them on Antonio Brown level? Or DeAndre Hopkins? Julio Jones? Odell? And speaking of which, Odell hasn't had a beast game yet. He did have that one long touchdown against, who was at the Jets. But he ain't putting up crazy numbers so far. So y'all, you see my point? But again, my opinion. I'm not saying y'all got to agree, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. Who's the free agent that we would have gotten? As far as receiver, who would have been the guy? Somebody said rather Tyrell than Moncrief. Okay, that's fair. And that's another thing. Oh, I see Debbie getting on him, huh? I was about to say that's another thing that Leonard has thrown at me too. Dez Bryant. He throws that name around a lot. But let me see. Debbie says, Leonard says the game they played last year when Brown did not play and our receiver did not show up. Okay. He's referencing the Cincinnati game, last game of the season last year. Jesse George says, I think Juju will be in the conversation with Odell and Julio and D-Hop. He just needs a little more time. That could be possible. I'm not ready to say that, but could. Well, it could. Who knows? Kenya says, one more time, Dez Bryant. I'm just saying, I don't see any names, guys. Somebody throw me some names. I want to see the names of who the free agent receiver was going to be our number one receiver this year. And again, I'm not saying this, to pick at Leonard or anything like that. He knows that. But like I said, a lot of times, guys, we are making our opinions and thoughts based off of being a fan, just a fan. Not all of us look at it from a football standpoint, which is fine. That's great. Not everybody has to be a football nerd. But what I'm here to do is kind of give you both sides. I'm an extreme fan, but then also I understand football and I understand the nature of the business and I understand schemes and I understand how I think guys might fit here and why teams might not take this guy over that guy. So I just try to offer balance. Be More Murder says, as a Ravens fan, we looked slow against the Browns. We took them for granted, focusing on the pass, and they wore us down by pounding the ball. They did, man. It was crazy. Saucy OJ says Steelers suck. Okay, but look who's at a Steeler podcast. So, look in the mirror, I guess. Saucy OJ, I'll read another comment of his. He says the Steelers beating the Bengals doesn't even compare to the Browns beating the Jets. Jets are not top 20. Bengals are not top 30. Okay, well, you've made your point, Saucy. But like I said, I'm confused as to why you're here. Just one man's thought. Debbie says, I have no receiver name. The Steelers only draft the guys that they mold to number one guys. And free agents are usually stopgap guys. Absolutely. Again, it all goes to the Steelers' philosophy, even though the Steelers have definitely been off script this offseason and during the season with trades and moving up in the draft. So, but traditionally, exactly. The receiver is usually not going to get the number one receiver in free agency. It just doesn't happen. Terrell Owens. Y'all crazy, man. All right, I'm going to stay here a few more minutes, guys. Then we're going to get out of here. I'm surprised we did this long. 47 minutes with no footage and no phone calls. Y'all some crazy Steelers fans, I guess. Y'all don't mind chatting it up with me. Russ Oberstein says, Kenyon, I would take Fizz, I believe he meant Dez, but only way it's going to happen is if you pick up and drop him off at the Steelers facility. Y'all crazy. Jacob Perkins says 13-3 incoming, or at least 2-14 because we know we can at least beat the Bengals. Right. I like that comment. That's hilarious. Addison Steiner says bring back AB. He left Pittsburgh because he hated Ben, who was bogus to him. He could work with Mason. Addison, that's a pipe dream. Okay, here goes Saucy. He says, I'm actually a younger fan, but my dad knows the Browns GM well. However, I used to live in Pittsburgh. I want them to do well, but only second in the division. Okay, well, whatever. What am I supposed to say to that comment? And congrats to your dad, but go root for the Browns then. All the Smoke says, thanks for the free content, Sim. No problem, man. Thank you guys for this. You guys are part of this content. There's no me without you guys. Be Chosen says, I've said it before, but they shouldn't have cut Eli Rogers. He was a chain mover from the slot. Listen, man, I can't argue with that. And y'all know me. I tell y'all the truth. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I was the main one saying let's keep Switzer because of recency bias, which I always try to say don't go off of that. But I thought that was the reason why they would keep Switzer. Switzer was the kick returner. Switzer was the punt returner. However, the way preseason was playing out, it was looking like Eli was going to be kept. And now we're starting to see Eli Rogers would have been better for us offensively. Now, you can argue they're similar. Yes, you can argue that. And you can argue that Eli Rogers doesn't make us a 3-1 team now or a 4-0 team. Correct. But what I'm merely saying is that spot should be Eli Rogers instead of Ryan Switzer. Ryan Switzer gives us nothing at the moment. The only thing he's given us is ball security on special teams, which is important. But let's also remember, Ryan Switzer didn't even return kicks last night. It was Johnny Holton. Switzer was only doing punt returns, which can easily transition to Deontay Johnson, as they put Johnson out there one time, but it was the bad punt. He didn't get a chance. What's Switzer's purpose, man? That's all I'm saying. Leonard says, Juju got to show me, might be wrong, but when watching football for a long time and I've seen the cornerbacks are shutting him down. So, Leonard, you did not see that 70-some-odd yard touchdown run against the San Francisco 49ers. You didn't see that. That was man coverage that Juju won and then housed it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And listen, I'm not the one to sit here and defend Juju Smith-Schuster. Maybe he's not a number one. But I just can't I can't sit here and allow you to get away with saying you didn't think he was that good. I don't believe that. Now maybe you did feel that, but I have a right to have a different opinion. I don't believe, based off of what we all saw from Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't believe that people are going to sit here and tell me that you did not think he was good enough to be the number one receiver. We never saw a reason to think that he couldn't do it or have the capability to do it. So now we're seeing. Maybe we'll see over the season or whatever. We'll see. And this is even going into next season. We'll see if he can be the number one receiver. But there's no way I can honestly tell you guys that in my mind I was saying he can't be a number one. There was no evidence of that. That's all I'm saying. There was no evidence of it. There was no evidence of it. Brown on the other side. I'm talking about last week against San Francisco. There was no Brown in that game, sir. There was no Brown. Yes. Jesse George in the Jaguar game. And shout outs to Jesse George for the donation, man. I appreciate that. Let me get the round of applause action going for you. There you go. Like my man Jesse George just said, Jalen Ramsey and Bouye caught it from Juju in man coverage, single man coverage. With Brown on the other side, I might add, but regardless, I don't care who's on the other side. When you are singled up against two of the better corners in the league, Juju has made plays to make me think that he could be a great receiver. That's all I'm saying. And it is up to him, where I will agree, he has to prove it, that he can be the number one guy. But I'm sorry, there was no evidence for me to think that Juju Smith-Schuster was not a good enough receiver to be a number one. I think a lot of people's mind is clouded with this because they're coming off of seeing Antonio Brown in a Steelers uniform. That's not a fair comparison to anybody who would have had to have taken the reins after him. It's not fair to anybody. So that's all I'm saying. But anyway, I'm gonna get off of that. In the Green TV says we should have kept Dobbs and turned him into a receiver like Cordell Stewart back in the day. Whoa, no, I don't see that. But you know, nobody's opinion is a bad opinion. It's just an opinion. But I don't see that. I don't see Dobbs. Nothing in Dobbs' DNA shows me receiver, even though he could run a little bit. I don't see that with Dobbs. Jackson says, William Jackson, he's responding to Nays. Oh, wait a minute. Let me read Gold Drip. I don't think I read his comment. Gold Drip says, Steelers won't use this type of offense every game. I think it was a plan just to win versus the enables at home this weekend. Ease Mason into it. I hope so, man. I hope to just see them. I really hope you're right, and I think you're right, you know, for the most part. I think that was just a plan for this week. And like I said, I think we're going to see an ever-changing or ever-evolving, you know, offense throughout the year until they can get Mason Rudolph locked into what he likes to do. Jacob Perkins says, there's no way we bring Bryant back. Dude can't stop eating poppy seed muffins. Y'all crazy, yo. Y'all are crazy, man. Let me see what else y'all got. Luis D says Roosevelt Nix, when he comes back, will improve the Steelers' running game, running attack. You know what? I think he very well may, because I think we will see more Rosie Nix with Mason Rudolph, more than what we saw with Ben Roethlisberger. So that's a great point. Levante Mahoney says Juju is a number one. We just have an incompetent coaching staff who refuse to adjust to today's NFL. I feel like from top to bottom, this is a tryout year to see who will be on the team next year. Appreciate that comment, Levante. I'm not sure I've seen your name before. The only thing that I will semi-disagree with is, let me agree with you first and say, yes, it does seem like our coaching staffs are stuck in their ways at times. They get very complacent. I can't say that after last night. I can't. I can't. Randy Fiedner completely adjusted the game to fit whatever it is they felt Mason Rudolph could do, and or mixing in both running backs. So we completely changed our offense from what we would have seen with Ben Roethlisberger. So up until last night, I'm with you, and I'm still with you in principle. But it's hard for me to say that we won't try to adapt after seeing the plan that Fiedner came in with last night. And I might add, you know, I can't confirm till I see the all-22, but I saw a few sprinkles with Butler, even though I'm not a fan of that nickel blitz not that much anymore, but I did see a few sprinkles from Butler last night too. So we shall see. But yeah, I'm cool with the tryout year. Definitely for Keith Butler. Keith Butler, yeah, the seat needs to be very, very hot, you know, after this season. He might be time for him to go. What else y'all got? We got about 4 more minutes, man. Daryl Duke says, would you bring back Martavis Bryant if the lead reinstated him? I would not. At this point, if I'm the Steeler organization, I'm not dealing with any past drama. Let's not do that. For the first time, it seems like the team is actually a team right now as far as what's going on in the locker room and or outside of the locker room. Let's not deal with any of that. Corey Bond says, did you see Jalen Samuels trash talking the Bengals? Yeah, dude was getting in 36 head. And Williams head. He wasn't he? He showed some fire. Like quite a few times after plays. He was really, I didn't even know Jalen Samuels had that in him. Because he seemed like a, you know, kind of quiet, more laid back type of guy, but he was a little spicy on the field last night. I definitely caught that. Appreciate that comment, Corey. Drew says, Rel, they turn off cap and force trades. Laugh out loud. I'm not sure what he probably replying to somebody, so I'm not sure what he was referring to. Let me go back up to G. Smithers. He says, when Big Ben first started his career, his average games consisted of 17 for 25 for 170, passing, etc. They played cautious with him as well. Can't deny that. Can't deny that. You're right. You are absolutely right. Remember, guys, Big Ben didn't start opening things up till a lot later. You know, I think Wisenhunt finally allowed him to air it out. But yeah, I can't argue with that. Black Hawk says Juju is a number one. Let's not forget, new quarterback means less offense right now. Do you think Snell at fullback would work to help with the run? That's an interesting thought, because Benny Snell is kind of built like a battling ram. Possibly, you know, if he's able to block, and you could run some, you know, some interesting things for the fullback, kind of like how that dude from San Francisco, Juszczyk. You could do some interesting things if you have a guy like Benny Snell, even some fullback dive, you know, with his running back skills. But yeah, so Blackhawk is saying Juju is a number one, new quarterback, and see, you have to consider all of that. You have to consider all of that. And I know some of you guys are going to point towards the game against the Patriots. Everybody got their butt kicked against the Patriots. Everybody. Ben wasn't his best. Offensive line was clearly not their best. But Mason Rudolph, Juju Smith-Schuster is going to take some time. They're running different things. Look at the little quick pass he threw to Juju last night when Juju came in motion. The little quick pass for 7-8 yards. It's different. They're running different types of routes and things too. You have to consider all of that. like I said, man, I know not everybody does that, but you just can't judge. You can't judge things by results all the time. Look at the whole totality of what's happening, and then that will tell you why X player isn't doing this or X player isn't doing that, etc., etc. And sometimes it might come down to the fact that maybe he's not. I'm just saying I don't think we can judge that off of 4 games into the season where most of the team hasn't been playing well or up to their potential until last night. They got a little better in San Francisco. We couldn't close the deal, but we haven't seen anybody really on the team excel all the way except for last night we saw shades of it. I just think it's too early to be throwing Juju in the trash as a number 1, throwing Mason Rudolph in the trash as a quarterback for us, and writing off James Washington completely. I just think it's too early for that. That's just my opinion. I'm not going to take your opinion away from you. I'm just saying, if you rationalize it, I think it's too early for all of that. And it's too early for people that say that Mason Rudolph is the future. Too early. It's too early. I did like his work in the pocket last night, though. Yeah, that was a Ben Roethlisberger play when he avoided the sack and he just threw the little, the fade away throw to Vinette. That was a Ben Roethlisberger play. I like that. And yeah, I'm going to keep that one in the memory bank, young boy. I like that. All right, man. 2 or 3 more comments and then we out of here. Zach says, for the love of God, put Mason under center 50% plus for the rest of the year. Okay. I ain't mad at that, Zach. Not mad at that at all. I think we definitely got to get back to some of that, man. We've fallen in love with shotgun. Especially when Ben is on the field. All right, let me get 2 more comments, man, from some people I haven't read yet. Chris Slavin says, can't judge a team until at least week 8. That's fair. I generally say for me 6 to 7 weeks, but yeah, one week different. I know exactly what you're saying. That's how I feel too. Debbie says, speaking to Daryl Dukes, when AB got hurt that game, Martavis became the next fast X guys, not the number 1 receiver. See, Debbie, this is my point. And I'm not talking about anybody here. Listen, none of us are perfect. But Debbie is making my point there. Debbie just gave a football comment. She knows that. She knows that in terms of who was the X, who was the Z, who was, sometimes you have to kind of know these things before you understand what I'm saying? That's all. But yes, Debbie, fully agree. All right, here's one last comment from Drew. Drew says, even if Mason isn't our future, you can definitely tell he's worth being a starter. That's how I feel, man. This guy has something. Mason Rudolph has something. Don't know exactly what it is yet, but he has something. I think he can potentially become a great quarterback. And great just means a solid starter. It doesn't mean he has to be elite. But I think he could be a very good starting quarterback in this league. It looks like the potential is there. That's all I'm saying. It's too early to say he's going to be a phenomenal guy, and it's too early to say he's not going to do anything. Just my opinion. Same thing, and I will say this real quick. I feel the same way about Dwayne Haskins. I see people already saying because of his performance this past weekend that, Daniel Jones was the better choice. Dog. It's too early for any of that. Dwayne Haskins was not ready to be put in that game. Jay Gruden needs to have... Y'all talking about somebody who might need to lose their job while y'all's talking about Mike Tomlin. I mean, wow. Where's the success from this guy? Why would you throw that boy out there in that situation? They said he didn't even have any reps with the number 1s during the week. Come on, man. That ship there is sinking. So if anybody in here are Redskin fans, yeah, that ship is sinking. But you can't judge Dwayne Haskins off of that game because he came in, unprepared and threw 3 interceptions. A rookie, you can't do that. But some of y'all are doing it already. Not y'all, but y'all know what I'm saying. Just being facetious. But whatever. But all right, man, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Did not think we would get an hour show tonight. It just goes to show that you guys are awesome. And I mean that. Y'all gave me enough content to keep commenting and talking without showing you any all 22, without allowing any phone calls because the phone queue is not working, Blog Talk. Now I got to get on them. And we still was able to get a show in for an hour. So I appreciate it, guys. I will be back. Let me see. I'm going to be out of town Thursday and Friday. I probably will be able to get a pregame show in Friday evening or Saturday. I'm gonna definitely try to do that, after we get a little more information about what we can expect going into the week. So I'll come back for that. And then, like always, y'all know the next time you definitely will see me is the post-game show after Sunday's game. And hopefully we're victorious. I don't know. But all right, man, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to remind you guys, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Cut on your notifications. Do me a huge favor. Hit the like button. You have no idea how much that tremendously helps me out. Hit the like button. As also, if you feel the need to donate, feel free to do so here in the chat. Click the $ and you can donate right here on YouTube. But if you prefer other means, if you prefer PayPal or Cash App, that is acceptable as well. My information is in the description. Always appreciated. Never, never required. All right. Y'all take it easy. Have a good week. Be safe. Be blessed. And thank you for tuning in to Terrible Towel Tuesday. Peace.